In the heart of the Balkans lies Bulgaria, a nation where the past isn't just something you read about in books. It's a living, breathing force that shapes every political debate, every social challenge, and every single hope for the future. Today, we're going to try and understand that immense weight of history.
Our story starts with a flash of gold. Picture this. It's 1972, a totally normal day at a construction site near the Black Sea. An excavator operator hits something shiny. And it's not just a coin. It's part of a 6,500-year-old cemetery, what we now call the Varna Necropolis, and it held the oldest, most masterfully crafted gold treasure ever discovered by humans. And we're not talking about some primitive trinkets here. This was sophisticated art, the calling card of a complex and wealthy civilization that was thriving here thousands of years ago.
That incredible discovery raises a really powerful question. If this land was a cradle of civilization, a place so advanced and wealthy thousands of years before Egypt even had pharaohs, then why is modern Bulgaria one of the poorest and most politically unstable members of the European Union? The answer, as we're about to see, is tangled up in the immense weight of its own history. So, to understand this paradox, we're going to take a journey. We'll start with that ancient gold, move to an empire's golden age, survive 5 centuries of Ottoman rule, get through a century of absolute turmoil, and see how all of that brings Bulgaria to the critical crossroads it faces today. Let's dive in. You see, it really all starts with the land itself. Bulgaria's location is strategically critical. It's the land bridge between Europe and Asia. For thousands of years, this spot on the map has been both a tremendous gift and a terrible curse. It's been a channel for immense wealth and culture, but also a bullseye for countless invading armies. And that prehistoric Varna culture, it was just astonishingly advanced. Look at the craftsmanship here. This wasn't just the oldest gold. It was the work of master metallurgists. The artifacts tell a story of a society with powerful rulers, a clear social structure, and trade networks that stretched all the way from the Mediterranean to the Volga River. The sheer amount of gold found in this one spot, over 6 kilograms, is more than all the other gold discovered from that entire millennium combined. This place was a center of power. Okay, let's jump forward a few thousand years to the medieval era. After the Roman Empire fell, new powers rose up to take its place, and let me tell you, the Bulgarian Empire was one of the most formidable ones out there. And this wasn't just some regional kingdom. The First Bulgarian Empire was a dominant force in Europe, a direct rival to the mighty Byzantine Empire next door. But its most lasting legacy? That's cultural. It was the creation of the Cyrillic alphabet. Developed in Bulgarian literary schools, this script became the foundation of writing for hundreds of millions of people across Eastern Europe and Asia. It was a truly monumental gift to the world. But inside this powerful empire, a really radical counterculture was brewing. It was called Bogomilism, a Christian sect that was profoundly anti-establishment. Its followers rejected the state, they scorned the rich, they hated the Tsar, and they believed the entire physical world was evil. This movement was so potent, it spread all across Europe, influencing groups like the Cathars in France. And it embedded this deep-seated tradition of dissent and suspicion of authority right into the cultural DNA. Well, the Golden Age came to an end. After brutal wars and a long decline, Bulgaria fell under the rule of the expanding Ottoman Empire. And this wasn't just a brief occupation. This was a period that would last for nearly 500 years, and it would fundamentally reshape Bulgarian society. This Ottoman census from 1831 gives us a fascinating snapshot. It shows the core dynamic perfectly. You have a clear Christian majority, Thuraya, as non-Muslim subjects were called, living under the political rule of a dominant Muslim minority. Understanding that demographic reality right there is the key to understanding the next 5 centuries of history. So what did this actually mean for daily life? Well, it meant a whole set of systemic pressures. The tax burden on Christians was often double what Muslims paid. They faced legal disadvantages like being barred from testifying against a Muslim in court. Cultural expression was restricted. No loud church bells, no grand new churches. And then there was maybe the most painful part, the devshirme, or the child levy, where Christian boys were taken from their families to serve the Sultan. This long era forged a powerful sense of identity, rooted in survival and preserving their culture against all odds. This long period of survival eventually gave way to the modern era, and the 19th and 20th centuries became a complete whirlwind of liberation, nation-building, and just devastating conflict. The weight of history was about to get a whole lot heavier. Just look at this timeline of the modern Bulgarian state. It is absolutely relentless. Liberation in 1878 is almost immediately followed by what Bulgarians call the national catastrophes, the Balkan Wars and World War I, where they ended up on the losing side and lost huge amounts of territory. Then came a complex alliance with Nazi Germany, followed by 45 years as a loyal Soviet satellite state, and finally a slow, painful transition to democracy after 1989.
The crucial result of these repeated disasters was a deep-seated cultural pessimism. It gave rise to this idea of Bulgarska robota, which translates to a Bulgarian affair. It's this cynical notion that any promising project is doomed to fail simply because Bulgarians are in charge of it. And this isn't just some historical footnote, it is the root of a profound public distrust in institutions that echoes so loudly in the country's politics today. Which brings us to the present day. After communism fell in 1989, Bulgaria's transition was slow. The old elites often just rebranded themselves and held on to their grip on power and wealth. This prevented the creation of a truly independent judiciary and fostered a system of corruption that still plagues the country.
Now, it's not all bad news. Amid all the political struggles, the Bulgarian economy has shown some real resilience. It roared back after the pandemic with 7.6% growth in 2021, which proves there is some serious underlying potential.
But, and this is a huge but, that economic potential isn't reaching everyone. In that very same year of incredible growth, over a fifth of the population was living below the poverty line. That makes Bulgaria one of the most unequal societies in the EU, a total disconnect between potential and reality that just fuels public anger. So why the disconnect? Well, the obstacles are systemic. You've got rampant corruption that has led to what analysts call state capture, where powerful private interests basically control public institutions. With a justice system that isn't truly independent, the result is deep political instability. You can see it in the almost constant elections between 2020 and 2022. It's even triggered U.S. sanctions against prominent Bulgarian figures for corruption. And these challenges all feed into a fundamental division in Bulgarian society, a split that has been supercharged by the war in Ukraine. On one side, you have a pro-Western, reform-minded camp. They want deeper EU integration, rule of law reforms, and full support for Ukraine. On the other side, you have a pro-Russian and nationalist camp that questions NATO, plays on nostalgia for the communist era, and pushes a pro-Kremlin agenda. This isn't a new debate. It's a modern version of a historical split between those who look west and those who look east that goes back centuries. The outcome of this deep division is, well, political paralysis. It is a tug of war for the nation's soul. You have reformers trying to pull the country forward into a new future, and you have established elites who benefit from the corrupt status quo pulling it back. With neither side able to get a clear win, the country is just left in a state of gridlock. And this brings us right back to our central theme. As analysts from the Wilson Center put it, these historical legacies, they aren't just in the background. They're active forces. Old national obsessions, traditions of centralized power, intolerant ideologies, all these ghosts of the past are playing out in the political battles of today.
So we end where we began. From the ancient gold of Varna to the glory of an empire, through centuries of survival and a century of turmoil, Bulgaria's past is always, always present. The final question is whether this nation, so profoundly shaped by the immense weight of its history, can finally reconcile that past to build the stable, prosperous future its people so clearly deserve.